Simon, just walk us through this, because we've had the statement from the 1922 committee, the Conservative administrative body. Talk me through what happens next now.
And then there was one. What started as a race of five has lost Boris Johnson early on to become that race for five, and now Andrea Leadsom has withdrawn. Smacks of House of Cards and other political thrillers, but it now looks like Theresa May will be the next Prime Minister of Britain, and how soon is something for the Conservative Party to work out pretty quickly.
I guess how the dominoes fall is something like the Prime Minister goes to the Queen, issues a formal resignation, then the Conservative Party decide whether Theresa May officially becomes the Prime Minister. From there, Simon, where do we go next? What have we learnt from Theresa May in the last 2 weeks as to how the dominoes fall from here?
I think two things. Firstly, the thing to remember about Theresa May, and partly why Andrea Leadsom was running, was that May was a member of the Remain campaign ahead of that referendum. She was quite a quiet one. She's been Eurosceptic for quite a long time. She made one speech in the campaign, so she was quite muted. But now, and increasingly already throughout the campaign to become Prime Minister, she's made the point that Brexit means Brexit. She's kind of been bulking up her Eurosceptic views. She previously said that the Article 50 we now all know about won't be triggered this year. She might come under pressure from within her party to put a faster time frame on that. Certainly she's going to come under pressure from Europe to build a kind of exit strategy that we don't really have at the moment, a plan for getting out. And secondly, and you saw a taste of this in the speech today, she's going to try, according to the speech, to broaden the Conservative base away from austerity, which has been the watchword of its manifesto since 2010, talking today about much broader policies, things like curbing executive pay, putting workers on board, sounding like the Labour Party in some cases, but looking to broaden the base and make the economy one that more can share from, as she said this morning in Birmingham.
Simon, I would say this is an historic moment, although it seems like history is being made almost every day over in the UK when it comes to politics. Many of us don't know Theresa May before this event, and we do know now that she was mildly for Remain. What can you tell us about her leadership thus far as Home Secretary, what her career has been like, what her pod's been like, that would indicate what she would be like as Prime Minister? Because it appears she will be at this really pivotal moment in UK history.
Yeah, she's been Home Secretary for the last 6 years. I think that makes her the longest-serving Home Secretary. One who's been, to use an analogism from the Blair years, tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime, very tough on immigration, something that will appeal to the Eurosceptics. That's really been her kind of mantra for the last few years is reducing immigration. She's been tasked with doing so. Hasn't done so particularly successfully, although perhaps not fully to blame for that. But certainly one of the key points of being Home Secretary has been her attempt to rein in immigration, a theme that was central to the Brexit campaign.
And what are the chances that May calls an early election?
Well, she's previously said she wouldn't. The argument for doing so is that a general election would be a chance to give her own legitimacy, her own mandate. It could be argued, though, the Conservatives won under David Cameron a year ago, that policy is not particularly off kilter from what was promised then, and that it's time for the government to be focused on implementing Brexit rather than seeking the vote of the British people. But certainly one thing that will come from this, or there'll be chatter out there, is the fact that what now looks like a coronation of Theresa May may make more pressure on her to call an early general election. But again, you've got to remember now we have fixed terms, a bit like the United States. We can get around them a bit more easily than that. But currently there's no election scheduled to 2020, and so the Labour Party's in crisis, various things on that front. So the idea will be there, but perhaps won't be enacted.
Simon, it's a dangerous game to take too much signal away from an intraday bounce on the back of this news, but it is a stronger pound story, very, very marginally. Do we just assume that the market looks at this and says a little bit less uncertainty around who the next Prime Minister actually is? That's a little bit of relief. We can move on. But quite clearly, the message ahead is going to come from the Bank of England this week. What do we expect the response to be? What's shaping up on Threadneedle Street?
So according to the Bloomberg survey of economists, the majority expect the bank to ease interest rates this week. there'd been some talk that they might wait till August. Doesn't really fit in with Mark Carney's kind of action man approach to central banking. So the betting is that we'll see an interest rate cut this week, probably a halving of the 0.5% rate. And perhaps more on things like funding for lending, perhaps even some more QE. But certainly the central bank has long warned that there would be economic turbulence from Brexit. We are seeing signs of that, and perhaps time for monetary policy to do its bit this week.